I'm not the a-hole for telling my husband it's my house, and I will invite whomever pleases me into it. Me, 35 female, and my husband have been married for 4 years, together for 6. Since the very beginning, he has been extremely emphatic on the "this is mine, this is yours" thing. To this day, we split restaurant bills to the cent. His car is his, mine is mine. Every single dollar bill he makes is his, and same for me. We shop for food separately, he pays his, I pay mine. Nothing is ours, and if we ever get divorced, I would get nothing. He would get nothing. I don't really care. His, mine, ours, whatever. Is it annoying? Yes. But I very much care, so I just go with it. I make good money, so I can pay for myself. We don't want kids, so that's not a worry. There is one thing that has slipped the whole division thing though. The house. It's entirely mine. He pays no rent and he has no legal rights to it. We share the space equally with no problems, until recently. My little sister, 29 female, lost her husband in a very tragic accident. They were together for more than a decade. Then 2 weeks ago, I got a call in the middle of the night. She was sobbing and could barely breathe. So I went to her place, packed her things, and brought her home with me. She says she can't be in their house. It's so silent. She can't sleep because all she can hear is that he isn't breathing by her side. Since then, she is staying with us in the guest bedroom. She can stay as long as she wants. I have always been very family-oriented, and my husband knows this. And right now, my sister is my absolute priority, and no one who knows me should expect otherwise. Then last night, my husband asked to talk. He said that she had to go, that she is freaking him out, and that it feels like there is a ghost in his house. I was irritated. How dare him? And I told him so. That is not his house. It's not our house. It's my goddamn house. Just like everything else in our lives he has made separate. The house is mine, and my sister stays however long she wants. He has been acting dejected ever since. I don't really care, and my sister is staying. He can leave if he wants. But I'd like to know if I'm acting like an a-hole, and I prefer to be an aware a-hole. So am I? Now for the top comments. Info. So your salary goes towards paying a mortgage, home insurance, property taxes, upkeep, etc., and the salary just gets socked away in his bank account without having to pay any share? He can blow his money on whatever he wants, or invest in his name only, without having to pay for housing? This doesn't seem fair or reasonable, and puts you in a disadvantage if you do get divorced, of course. Unless you were really rich before marriage, and owned a home free and clear and make way more money than he does. Might be time to renegotiate the financial terms of this marriage. I bought the house outright with the money my dad left me. Any house-related expenses are mine. Currently, I make just enough that after all the costs house-related, leave me with around the same amount of money as his salary. Everyone sucks here. And you both are really going to be shocked someday when a divorce attorney explains to you what marital property is. Okay, so I knew someone was going to say something along these lines. We aren't American. In my country, when you get married, you can choose between a few options or make your own. One of the options is literally a total division of assets, no shared property. So no marital property then. Not the a-hole. I will say, I think his boundaries with you are weird. Is he a romantic? I just can't imagine snuggling with my husband if he is all 50% of this blanket is not yours, or some crap. I'm sorry for your sister's loss. You're a good sis. You touched 10% of my blankie, so I'm docking you 10% affection. Clown stuff. Next story. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my sister-in-law to never come back to our house again? So I, 27 female, live with my husband at his parents' place. He has 3 sisters who live in different cities. They've never looked into moving out, and never wanted to either, as one of his sisters pays for 2 house helps. That makes things very easy for me because my husband and I work 9 to 5. Also, getting a house nowadays isn't easy. Last year his father died. Before dying, he equally divided the property among his 4 children, as this was their childhood home, but it is an understood fact among his sisters that this house is ours, whatever the papers might say. His youngest sister has a 5-year-old autistic kid. After her father's death, she practically moved into our home because my mother-in-law got severe depression. The house got pretty lonely for her, especially since my husband and I were out all the time. She'd even stay for dinner as though it was her who was paying for it. She occasionally brought her kids with her, and even though her daughters are incredibly sweet and even help around the house, Her son makes me grateful I have no kids. I'd lock my room before going, but the rest of the house was never safe from this crotch goblin. My mother-in-law would never do anything and let him run wild. She'd say that her and her husband's pension was running half the house, and she didn't mind anything he did. I lock my portion, but I still live here, and it's annoying. He's getting therapy and the medical attention he needs, to no effect. He makes loud noises, and does all the things he knows annoy me. Why not ask her girls to look after him? The eldest is 15. Recently, my mother-in-law died. After the funeral was over, though, all the sisters are staying over, just until all of them can get emotionally stable again. But I decided to speak up now, or I'll never get my home to myself. I told a sister with a kid that she's not invited anymore, and I'm done with her kid. That is my place now, and no one gets to wreck its peace. She said that this was her home long before it was mine, and she owns a portion of it. That she'll come by whenever she wants to. That I should just lock away my portion, and whatever happens in the other portions is none of my business. In my anger, I said that her rotten genetics are the reason I don't want any kids. I admit I might have crossed a line, but she has her own home. Why does she need to wreck my peace? Now my husband's threatening to divorce me if I don't apologize. The other sisters have withdrawn their allowances and house helps, which I think is what bothers my husband a lot, because he thinks we won't be able to afford anything now. I told him that just goes to show that his sisters never loved him and only gave us money as charity. I think I should apologize because I don't want to ruin the family, but I also think if I stand my ground, it would keep the sister away. Am I the a-hole? You are 100% the a-hole in every instance of this story. Nothing belongs to you, so why do you feel so entitled to things you haven't earned yourself? Consider some professional therapy. Also, the sisters collectively own 75% of the house, while you and your husband would only maintain 25% based on the documents Opie mentioned. Exactly. I really hope the sisters band together and force a sale of the house and either buy her husband out or sell it so Opie gets her entitled rotten butt tossed out. Did I read that correctly? You and your husband live in his childhood home. The home was willed to your husband and his 3 sisters. You and your husband do not pay for the house. The sisters do. Yet you feel like the house belongs to you and the sisters are not allowed in it? If I'm understanding that correctly, then you are without a doubt the a-hole. If you pay nothing towards the house, then you can't tell the people who do and own the home legally what they can and cannot do. If you want to control who enters your home, you will need to move out and pay for your own home. You're the a-hole. Opie is leaving out so many key details. If both her and her husband work full-time jobs and they have this house left to them, what on earth do they need financial assistance for? Their only bills should be utilities, which apparently is being covered by the sisters, and mortgage, which is also being covered by the sisters. That leaves them with just their own personal items like phone, car, insurance, groceries, etc. Why would a dual full-time income need that much financial assistance for their basic bills? The sister in question pays for nothing. The other sisters do, even though my mother-in-law has left almost all her money for that kid's treatment. She only legally owns her portion of the place, but everyone calls it my husband's house as we permanently live in it. You keep saying permanently, yet something tells me you'll be out before long. You don't own anything, and I strongly recommend you figure that part out and act accordingly. You're the a-hole. If you want your own space so much, go buy or rent your own home. You have absolutely no right to kick someone out of a space they own and you do not own. If I were your husband, I'd divorce your entitled butt without even waiting to see if you apologize. If the man has a single ounce of intelligence, this is exactly what he'll do. Next story. Am I the a-hole for making my niece leave when I learned she was pregnant? I'll start off by saying that I, female 35, am not very close to my sister 45 female and my brother-in-law 48 male. We are just very different people who chose very different lives, and because of the age difference, we weren't close growing up. We live about 4 hours apart, and maybe see each other in person once every 2 to 3 years, and talk a handful of times a year. So, I was very surprised when my niece 16 female called me out of the blue to tell me that she was in the town I live closest to, and wanted to know if she could stay a while. I figured she was having some teenager moments with her family, and drove into town to grab her. When we got home, I called and then texted my sister and told her that niece was with me. I just got a K response, which furthered my suspicion that they had a fight. She had been here for about 3 weeks and things were going okay. I'm not used to having kids around, but she was a teenager and didn't need supervision. She seemed to be pretty quiet and withdrawn, but I don't know this girl, so it's not like I have any idea what she's like normally. Well, a few days ago, we were having dinner and she told me that she was pregnant. Her parents had kicked her out. She wanted to keep the baby, and her parents disagreed with her, to put it mildly. I told her that under no circumstances would I live in the same house as a newborn, and even if I wanted to, we lived too far out of town and she didn't drive, so logistically it would have been a nightmare. We argued, but I told her she was going back to my sister's. I called my sister and we argued quite heatedly, but I told her I was putting her back on the bus the next day, and she better pick her up, or I was going to call CPS. My niece has been back with my sister for a couple of days now, and the entire family is angry with me of all people. My niece is especially mad, and has texted me a few times to tell me how much she hates it at her family's house, and that I'm cruel. Now for the comments. Everyone sucks here. Honestly, the poor girl. She desperately seeks out help and everybody just craps on her. She shouldn't have gotten pregnant. Her parents shouldn't have kicked her out. And you could have probably helped her seek out emergency housing. Have no idea where the family of the baby's father is in all this, and it seems like no one else does either. I have no idea about the baby's father or any of the circumstances. I barely know my niece, as I stay pretty far away from my family. I'm guessing you have plenty of reasons for avoiding that side of your family. The more I find out, the more I'm wondering what kind of upbringing that poor niece of yours had. You maybe should make that CPS phone call after all. That might be a good idea. I don't think my sister would be abusive, but I think she is probably pretty strict with her kids. Everyone sucks here. You could have helped her walk through her options at the very least. She's a teenage girl, and pregnancy blows. She's likely feeling terrified and confused. I don't think everybody should be mad at you per se, but I do think you could have given a teenage girl the benefit of the doubt. I did try to walk through her options, but that was what led to an argument. She said the only option she wanted was to stay here and have the baby, but I told her that wasn't an option. After reading some of your replies, not the a-hole. If her game plan was live with you and have the baby, that's not your responsibility. But you let her live with you for 3 weeks without questioning what the heck was going on? Probably should have called CPS, but I can see depending on where you live, they may do nothing. Her life, her body, her choice. But she's gotta sleep in the bed she makes and not pass the responsibility off on her parents or you. That said, this is entirely between her parents and her. Anyone scolding you, just tell them she is not your daughter. This may sound weird, but we really didn't interact much. I don't know her well, and I work and have a small farm I need to care for. I'm not much of a talker and she kept to herself too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my girlfriend that I'm not going to drop everything to take her to the hospital anytime she feels any discomfort? I'll try to remain as least biased as I can. I, 27 male, and my girlfriend, 21 female, are expecting our first baby at the beginning of May. This pregnancy has been nothing short of chaotic. My girlfriend has never experienced pregnancy and she's terrified to give birth. So any feeling of discomfort, she freaks out. I understand that pregnancy is hard and scary and my girlfriend doesn't have her family around to help her. So she's probably experiencing a lot of anxiety. I'm not trying to downplay that, I'm just frustrated. Because I feel like she's taking advantage of the fact that she can get me to do things for her just because she's pregnant. We got into a fight a few days ago. She insisted that she didn't feel good, and she thought something was wrong with the baby. She wanted to go to the hospital to make sure everything was okay. We've been to the hospital for this kind of emergency almost 4 times since the beginning of her pregnancy. I had to go to work because we are severely understaffed. So I told her that if she still didn't feel good tonight, we could go make sure everything was okay. She got upset with me, and she told me that I never take her pain serious. I told her that I can't drop everything anytime she feels any discomfort. Pregnancy is uncomfortable. We argued some more, then I left for work. When I got home, I asked if she was feeling better, but she wouldn't tell me. She has stopped talking to me about her pregnancy now, and I feel like she's being manipulative. She's withholding information about my child because I didn't drop everything to take her to the hospital again. I tried explaining to her my side of things and I apologized, but she's still mad at me. My girlfriend is treating me like I'm the a-hole, but I feel like she isn't seeing how frustrated and tired I am from dropping everything for her. Am I the a-hole? Need more info. The times she went to the hospital, was anything ever wrong? Because if not, I would say not the a-hole. You need to work to take care of your family. If she's constantly crying wolf, then that will impact your job. But if there was something wrong, then you should treat her complaints more serious. There has been something wrong twice. One time she fainted due to dehydration. The other time she was having contractions and the baby wasn't moving. So we thought it could be premature labor. These happened early in her pregnancy, so I think she has a lot of anxiety of it happening again. I understand, but I wish I could find a better way to manage her anxiety. This isn't a way of managing her anxiety. She is correctly identifying that things are not normal. Amazing for a first pregnancy. I am floored that you are characterizing her as overreacting, when in fact, 2 out of 3 times that you've been to the hospital, it was for very critical issues. You're the a-hole. Your wife is pregnant, and you're minimizing her symptoms as discomfort. I told her that I can't drop everything anytime she feels any discomfort. Buddy, you should have thought about this before you got her pregnant. You're locked in this roller coaster now, and you're just getting started. If she doesn't have family around, then you're it. You should let your work know she's pregnant, and you're going to have a lot of sudden absences coming up. It's a high-risk pregnancy, and 2 of the times they went there was a legit medical problem. Once because she fainted, others she was having early contractions. So he is a huge flaming a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my husband to have access to my inheritance? My mother passed away last year. The entire process is about to come to an end in just a few weeks. And for the past 6 months, my husband has been looking at a multitude of things that on a regular day we definitely can't afford. He'd have to use credit or save up for weeks or months. A person can wish for stuff or want to work towards a treat for themselves, but he hasn't made an effort to save up for these expensive purchases. Instead, he's been asking for updates on the legal process and asking how much longer it's going to take. He's even asked me several times about an estimated amount. I've given him very little to no information because at this time, things can still drastically change, with a creditor popping up and saying that money is owed or whatnot. He's not the most responsible person with money. I've managed the finances full-time for the past 3 years straight. He used to manage our finances, but he has a history of sabotaging our financial goals and blowing our budgets. My intention is to use half of my inheritance to move our family into a house, then save 40% to help my children in the future, like graduations, college, trips, their first cars, etc., and have a small emergency fund, something we couldn't do before because my husband kept giving money to his side of the family to help them with bills, groceries, legal troubles, etc., draining our accounts and leading our family to homelessness 3 separate times. I understand that if it's family, you have to try and help somehow. But letting your 3 children and wife become homeless because an adult family member couldn't be responsible enough to pay their own bills or got into legal trouble is a hard thing for me to fully understand. I really don't want to wake up one day and find out that every cent has been spent behind my back. I'd like to open an account in my name and follow through with the plan I mentioned above. He has made it clear that he intends to buy a new vehicle, tech, game system, and other items just for him, not our children or to improve our family's future. When I talk about investing or saving, he says that life is too short for that. I told him that it wasn't about us, it was about our children, and his response was that when our children become adults, they should work for what they want. That statement seems backwards considering his actions of late. I know for sure that if his parents pass, we will have to pay off their debts and cover all of the unknown costs out of pocket. Financially speaking, started my marriage with my husband completely debt-free, and I have worked for years to finally get him to be debt-free as well. But over the past 10 years, he's paid off his parents' credit card and IRS debts. They live paycheck to paycheck and think saving money is pointless. I'm not sure if I'm making the right choice, but I really just want my children to have the same happy and stress-free childhood I had. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Inheritance isn't marital property, but you need to be straight up with him and tell him he isn't going to have access to it. You're gonna have to have enough spine to put your foot down. If he doesn't like it, let him leave, because it doesn't sound like he's contributing anything. This I would also add that you should look at a financial planner/advisor to ask questions and explain the situation so you could get clear advice from a professional. But seriously, be upfront and direct that your inheritance isn't his spending money. Don't tell him when exactly you're getting the money or how much you're getting. And listen to all the other comments about keeping the account/place with the inheritance money separate with no way for him to access stuff. He is so bad with money that it has led to you and your children being homeless 3 times, and once is too much. And if he argues or complains, don't hesitate to bring this up. Some people might say not to bring up the past, but this is related to your current dilemma and just hits home how incompetent he is with finances and how he absolutely cannot be trusted with them. And don't put his name on the house deed if you do spend some of the inheritance on buying a house. Or ever allow his kin to move in, which will absolutely be tried. Not a-hole, leading your family to homelessness 3 separate times. I'm sorry, what? How on earth are you even entertaining the idea of giving him any kind of access to a large amount of money? Looks to me like he has told you many times what he's going to do with that money. He's going to blow it, just like he's been doing. He's going to blow the money, your investment plans, and your kids' futures. Sorry, but I'd have divorced his butt ages ago. If you hand out my money to the point of making me homeless, there's no way in hell that trust could be earned back. Next story. Am I the a-hole for moving my money to a different account after my stepmother threatened me with taking them from me? 15 female here. Stepmother and I obviously don't get along. She's been my stepmother for 1.5 years. The money that I have was in a joint account, me and my dad. But stepmother had access to the debit card and PIN number. I earned this money myself, selling handcrafted items. I broke curfew a few days ago, and she suggested that she's considering whether to take 20% of my money out of the account as a fine for punishment. And every time this happens, she will take 20% more until nothing is left. I was very upset about her threat, and decided that I should move my money before she takes it away. I logged in online, and transferred all of it to my big brother's account last night. And the next day we went to open a joint bank account with my brother, and we moved the money there. So she doesn't have access to it anymore. So upon learning what happened, my dad and stepmom are furious at me and my brother. Stepmom is focused on the fact that I've taken away her means of punishment, and my dad is upset that I didn't trust him enough to protect my money. He insists he wouldn't have allowed it. Stepmom has banned me from seeing my brother, which is meaningless as I don't accept her authority to do this, and my dad says he's hurt that I don't trust him, and as a result, he doesn't trust me anymore. Am I the a-hole for moving the money? Honestly, I completely agree with your actions here. Your stepmother threatened to steal your money from you, so you moved to protect it first. As to why you didn't trust your dad, well, why did she have access to the debit card and PIN for an account that wasn't hers? Not the a-hole. This is so important. Your dad broke your trust first by giving your stepmother access to the debit card and PIN. You didn't break trust. You prevented threatening theft. You literally moved your money out of the bank after the bank robbers told you they were going to go steal it. Not the a-hole. Your stepmom has wildly overstepped. And good on you for having the foresight to take preventive measures to protect your hard-earned money. Where was your dad when she first brought this up? Did he defend you? Especially since he disagrees with your stepmom, his issue should be with her for crossing the line, not with you for being smart about your money. He didn't defend me because he says I was wrong to break curfew, but he insists he wouldn't have allowed her to take my money. Then he should have spoken up when she made a threat and talked about an appropriate punishment for breaking curfew. Not the a-hole, it's your money. Maybe you'd trust your father more if he stepped up as a parent and told his wife that disciplining you for things like breaking curfew are his job, not hers. Exactly. Dad does not have Opie's back. What repercussions did she get for threatening Opie? Nothing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to cover his portion of rent after I made a stupid purchase that was over his budget? I won't say the item he bought for confidential issues alone, and details will be changed to a hypothetical standpoint. We are both in our 30s, married for a long time. We split bills 50-50. He is super materialistic when it comes to a certain hobby. Think cars or expensive hobby like that. Well, he went out last week and dropped close to $600 on one single item, which meant he is now over budget by $300 and doesn't have his portion of rent covered. He asked that I cover it and I said absolutely not. He knew rent was coming up and he went over budget anyways. Now he will have to pick up extra hours to make up for his losses. The thing is, since he got his item, he has been rushing home as soon as possible to mess around with said item, so now he doesn't want to work more hours. None of this is my problem, in my opinion. He claims this is his dream item and has wanted one of these since he was a kid. He truly does gush over it like a teenager, but still, not my problem. He says I lack understanding and should help him out this one time because he never does this, and I shouldn't be mad at him for snagging an item he had been wanting for years, after I found it much cheaper than it usually goes for. Apparently, usually this thing costs almost $1,800. I still said no. Not my problem, not my fault, and certainly not my responsibility. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Sorry guys. And to include more details on his "he never does this" comment. This is not the first time he has done this, but it is the first time he's done it with this particular hobby. Prior to this, he has gone over budget multiple times while buying stuff for his other big hobby. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole, but honestly, he should be giving you his portion of the rent as soon as he gets paid, if that's how you handle your finances. It wasn't like he had an emergency. This was a planned and a necessary expense that caused him to go over budget. I mean, if it was something that he's genuinely wanted for years, and he found it for literally a third of the cost, I can kinda see why he couldn't resist. But it is his responsibility, and if all he has to do is pick up extra hours for the next 2 weeks, then that's on him. I mean, if the item is not worth a couple of weeks of overtime, then he should resell it. Not the a-hole. Yep, he waited years to get this. He could put in the overtime to be able to afford it. He could also have asked Opie about covering rent before he made a purchase. What if Opie had, wholly within budget, spent the rest of Opie's own discretionary money for the month? No two ways around it. He was really irresponsible about this, and continues to be by not picking up overtime to cover it. Not the a-hole, but I'm sure your landlord couldn't care less about how you budget as a couple. Landlord is going to want the rent. That's your immediate problem. Depending on your city, the strength of tenant protection laws, etc., being short on your rent 1 month can be your first step on the road to eviction. You don't want that, obviously. Your next problem is determining how to deal with a partner with so little respect for household finances. It's not just so little respect for household finances, but so little respect for her and her boundaries. He deliberately bought something which would cause him to be short on rent because he expected her to pay it, without asking. Making decisions which affect your spouse without your spouse is never the way to go. If this had been a roommate and not a wife, would he have gone ahead and made this purchase? Probably not. He decided for her that she'd be okay with it, since they're married. Everyone sucks here. He's super irresponsible, but you really sound like a roommate more than a partner here. Well, that's how I'm treated. I ask for a date night and he can't even be bothered because he wants to play with his toys, but fully expects me to jump in and cover expenses when he overdoes it. I am a roommate that he is financially dependent on when he makes stupid choices, but I've tried to be more than that, multiple times. He doesn't even kiss me anymore. What are you getting out of this relationship other than a headache and debt? I'm sure isn't half the rent. Last story. Am I the a-hole for turning my friend's daughter against her family? I'm 38 female and have a daughter V, 13. I have a close friend, Charlie, who has a daughter Amanda, also 13, with his wife Olivia. I've known Charlie for nearly 20 years, since before he was with Olivia, and while she and I have never been close, I thought we had a deep abiding respect and warmth for one another. Our kids are very close, and Charlie and his family often visit us at our homes, and when we're near where they live, we see them. At the beginning of the summer, Charlie, Olivia, and Amanda, along with their other 2 sons, came to stay with my family. They were there for 2 weeks, but when it was time to go, both V and Amanda pleaded for Amanda to be allowed to extend her stay. My husband and I were fine with this, as was Charlie, but Olivia wasn't keen. Eventually, she was convinced by Charlie, and Amanda stayed with us until about a week before school started again. Since then, Charlie has mentioned a couple of times that Amanda has asked for different kinds of food that she tried while with us, and that she's asked for a couple of expensive items. She even asked if she could try horse riding, and Charlie has joked several times about me corrupting her, but it was definitely a joke. Then, 2 days ago, I received several walls of text from Olivia. She said that since staying with us, Amanda has become divorced from reality. Olivia says Amanda now wants things they can't afford, will not help around the house, and complains about everything, from their cars to her clothes. She said that I must have spoiled Amanda by giving her expensive gifts and encouraged a superficial lifestyle. I bought her one designer item as a souvenir on a day trip we took, as I was getting one for V and it seemed unfair for Amanda to get nothing. She also said Amanda has asked to join a gym and be taken to a dermatologist and accused me of making Amanda insecure, which I absolutely did not. V has seen a dermatologist and probably mentioned it to Amanda, but I doubt it was a nasty way. Finally, she said that I had completely alienated Amanda from their family, as nothing they do seems to be good enough now. And she keeps saying that she misses being with our family and wishes she'd been born as V's sister. Apparently, Amanda said she wants to come back to ours for her school's half-term break, and that I invited her, which I did in passing, if it was okay with her parents. Olivia said as a mother I should have known better than to spoil a child that's not mine, and that it must have been my intention to turn her against us. I was hurt by what she said and told Charlie. He says she's overreacting because most of what Amanda has been saying has been directed at her mother, and Olivia is just at her wit's end. He said he'll talk to her and that I shouldn't worry, but I'm beginning to wonder if I've done something wrong. A friend of mine said she understands why Olivia would feel slighted, but even if she overreacted, am I the a-hole? All of Amanda's new behaviors honestly sound like her just being a teenager. More than likely, it has nothing to do with her extended stay with your family. It sounds to me like Olivia is frustrated and needs someone to blame, not the a-hole. That's my take. 13-year-olds are going through some phase. I don't think you're an a-hole for treating your child's friend during vacation, but I was hurt by what she said and told Charlie. He says she's overreacting because most of what Amanda has been saying has been directed at her mother, and Olivia's just at her wit's end. It's very easy for the father who isn't receiving any of the negative backlash to say that the one who does is overreacting. Of course, he doesn't think it's an issue when he's not the one having to deal with it. And now he's off putting even more pressure on Olivia, that she's doing everything wrong, and her family's now ganging up on her even more after talking to you. It's not going to play in your favor, even if you did nothing wrong. Instead, tell Charlie to be more supportive of his wife and step up and say no to his daughter's requests on his own without being asked by his wife to pitch in, so Olivia doesn't have to be the evil parent all the time. And try to ask Olivia out for lunch or coffee, so you can talk about this and apologize for inviting her daughter for an extended stay during school without even checking with them first. That was an overstep on your part. But even so, no a-holes here, except maybe Charlie for blaming his wife for being overwhelmed with being a single parent to their daughter. And maybe Olivia if she keeps blaming you instead of wanting to work this out. I think this is a great answer. Opie doesn't have to be an official a-hole to be able to put herself in Olivia's shoes and have some compassion for the sticky position she's in. Her 13-year-old just had a cushy summer and is now being a 13-year-old about it. Olivia may have seen this coming and hoped to avoid it, but was overruled by her husband and daughter's pushiness about it. She may be unfairly taking it out on Opie, but maybe she just needs to feel like she has an ally.